I'm Cole Rosson. I'm here in New York City in the United States. I currently work for TikTok doing brand partnerships, so in the digital ad tech space. And I am just completing my MBA at the International University of Monaco. Having the experience of the MBA, as well as having that on my resume, was a major reason that I was able to get the job at TikTok. My background, and one of the main reasons that I ended up at University of Monaco, is in automotive with a focus on motorsports, luxury automotive, different strategy-based jobs within that. So I had the opportunity to work for Jaguar Land Rover for several years, and then was with Ferrari as well for several years. So Ferrari really had the connection with IUM, the University of Monaco, and that's where I actually first the program and the school from a colleague at the company who attended the program previously. So, the close connection that the University of Monaco and the Principality of Monaco has with Formula One, with motorsports. There's a lot of race car drivers that live within the area there, and management companies. It's really just the mecca, if you will, of kind of that area of the world, right, of motorsports. So for me, that played a large role in helping to guide my decision as to why I wanted to participate in that program. And, I was working for European companies always. So I wanted to definitely go to school at a European school versus here in America, just because I think it really expands your horizons, knowledge base, your network, the way that you perceive different cultures and can work in this globalized world now, right? We're working and talking constantly with people in all different kinds of environments around the world, thought processes, etc. So yeah, there's a bit of my background and how I ended up here. I was reaching the point in my career where I was starting to getting an inflection point of seniority. So I was a manager, like a low mid-level manager, and to really gain the understanding at still a younger age, to learn more about leadership, to learn more about strategic thought. It made a lot of sense to participate and go ahead and do an MBA program. So for me, the main reason I've chosen to do an MBA program is because it adds a lot of value to my, to my background, to my resume, to my knowledge base, and it helps to jumpstart the next part of my career into more of a leadership style role. So yeah, for me, that's the main reason for the MBA. Just thinking out loud here as well, it's like, I chose to do the MBA after about 7 or 8 years of work experience, so out of the educational environment. And it was important to me to re-enter that kind of school environment to, again, kind of hit reset on how you're learning, how you're getting exposed to a lot of different people that are outside of your traditional work environment or social environment. And I think that understanding and that involvement with people from, again, internationally around the world, as well as just learning from professors the different cases that we look at, shifts your perspective and the way that you can approach different problems and the way that you can really, approach everything that you look at in life, frankly. So I think those two factors were the main reasons. Like any country right now, the United States is quite a competitive job market. Given my background, having a unique school like IUM on my resume really differentiates me from other candidates that have gone to domestic programs here in the United States, or even some people from international programs. The truth is that Monaco is a small program. It is certainly a unique place as the Principality goes. The experiences that you have there and the lifestyle around it is really, really fascinating. So it's genuinely a different kind of MBA than a lot of the traditional MBAs. And frankly, a recruiter from any major corporation, be it an Amazon or Microsoft or TikTok or a small startup or an entrepreneurial firm, that's going to really get their gears spinning, and that's going to certainly get their attention one way or the other, almost to the extent that your Wharton or your Harvard would in a different way. But it's certainly something to have a conversation about, and it certainly opens the door up to really you as the candidate being able to discuss your experiences and discuss kind of the value that you would bring to that company. There's a few major elements. The first is simply the Principality of Monaco itself. That is a huge selling point. And the Principality is 2 square kilometers, right? It's got a unique history for centuries. So I think that the opportunity to to study in the Principality itself, to integrate with the society there. The school is well respected within the Principality and quite well connected. So the opportunity to attend, dozens and dozens of events. Monaco as a principality in a country, one of their products, if you will, for their GDP essentially, is event. And that has to do with everything from entertainment events. So whether it's the Grand Prix or the Monaco Yacht Show, to hundreds of business networking events, conventions, leadership conferences. So, you almost have to look at the 2 square kilometer Principality as the campus itself, which frankly, I think like a school like Ohio University, OSU here, is probably bigger than the whole Principality of Monaco, the campus itself. So you've really got to look at it like that you've got I think it's about 30,000 residents in Monaco. I figure there's about 60, 70,000 people there on a daily basis. Again, it's smaller than OSU, to put that in perspective. I think the other major kind of selling point to me and this is more specified as an American. So, when I was going through the application process, I was certainly looking at several top tier schools here in the United States. Most of those top tier schools were for a full-time 2-year program. I opted to do a part-time program, so I didn't have to take off. Part of that was a financial decision on my end, because I think it's really important as you look at an MBA program to understand your cost-benefit analysis. And the truth is, in the United States, you're about $180,000 to $200,000 in some cases in tuition payments for like a 2-year full-time program, missing out on the opportunity to generate income during those years. It's quite challenging. So if you look at it that way, the opportunity to participate in this kind of global part-time program, because about 25% of the students within the MBA cohort in Monaco are like myself, we're part-time distance students. So before COVID, I would be going to Monaco quite often to participate in group projects and just make sure I integrated in the full experience. So the second big selling point for me is the idea that they have this fully integrated remote style program for distance students where you still feel quite integrated. You get a lot of the experience. And from a value standpoint, comparative to a US top tier school, it is, quite a good value. European schools in general are. I remember quite vividly one of there were several rounds of interviews at TikTok, and in I think it was the second or third round, the interviewer specifically asked that, I see Monaco on your resume, can you tell me about that? And, one of the big things about TikTok is that when brands activate and advertise on TikTok, a lot of what they talk about there is brand safety, how they're making sure they're portraying the correct narrative on the platform to communicate their brand values. And actually, I was able to really dive into that because, the University of Monaco specializes in luxury branding. And of course, Monaco as a whole is like a luxury hub, if you will. But IUM is a really strong background of really instilling ideas of luxury branding. And a lot of that has to do with how you manage supply and demand, how you really are ensuring that you maintain scarcity, how you're looking at the details of that. So bringing that into play during that interview and during that conversation with that interviewer at TikTok actually played incredibly to my benefit, probably more than almost any other school could have done in that particular instance, which is wild in a way. It worked out perfectly. But to be able to say that essentially I've been studying the idea of how brands can communicate, can represent themselves in the market to ensure that they maintain the highest potential kind of brand equity and luxury values, even if they're not a luxury brand. The idea of maintaining we can say an aesthetic appeal is important to any brand on the planet. All right, well, the first one I'll start with is how I get to Monaco. And, I was fortunate previously, I was going to Europe quite a bit for work. So I'd be going to Amsterdam. We had our headquarters there, a previous company I worked for, or Italy, and then be able to fly into Nice because Nice is the closest airport. Now, something that Monaco doesn't always speak about is the local helicopter charter company has a relationship that they help subsidize some of the transport for students. So it's a slight discount. But my mode of transportation from Nice to Monaco is a 6-minute helicopter ride, which, you can't, you literally cannot beat arriving to Monaco via helicopter and flying over the port and then flying, it's truly it's mind blowing. And you feel like a complete badass, right? Because I can't, I'm not a Russian oligarch, but you sure as hell feel that way as you're flying in there. So I think that's certainly one of the things that's pretty cool. The helicopters company is owned by, I believe it's the prince's cousin or something, like uncle, nephew. And so they help out the university students. The second thing that I would say from a social perspective is, like I mentioned before, Monaco is the campus. So there is a nightlife aspect to Monaco, but there's also the culture in Monaco. It is laid back in a way. You are in the south of France. You're in the Riviera. So while students and professors and professionals there are working very diligently, there's also a certain play aspect to it as well, of a relaxation. Long lunches, relaxing periods. It's, coming from New York City especially, it always feels a bit like a breather to me, that when I get put into that environment, I truly can relax into my studies and I can totally disconnect in a way that helps me to connect directly into the work that I'm doing there. It's a pretty magical place.